On Friday, March 27th, Bandai Namco launched an Android and iOS teaching app for their 2020 Digimon card game, which is set to come out in Japan this April to coincide with the new Digimon Adventure Sunday Morning TV anime series. This app is only available in Japanese, as is the game itself, with no word yet on a potential English localization, although Bandai does seem to be keeping their options open by putting out a machine-translated splash page for the trading card game. The Digimon TCG is already blowing up in Japan despite not even being out yet, amassing more than 30,000 followers on Twitter in just about 2 months and rapidly filling up pre-orders at all of the major hobby chains from Card Kingdom to Yellow Submarine, and even extending to web stores, which are adopting the game on day 0 despite it being completely unproven. The reasons for that really deserve their own separate video, so I'm not going to get into it today. Instead, I happen to be fortunate enough to speak Japanese at least on the level of the 9-year-olds this game is targeted at. So I'm going to walk you through the app's free play modes and show you the rules of the game up front. So in here we have these 2 tutorial levels first that are there are a lot of forced menus that you have to get through before you get to free play, which is these last 3 areas. This is where the meat of the game is. Each free play duel pits you against a different half deck. These are half-sized versions of the starter decks that are launching in April: Gaia Red, Cocutus Blue, and Heavens Yellow. Now if we click in this section, we can see the full deck list for both the player and the computer. This is the really aggressive Gaia Red deck that focuses mostly on power gain. The full version of the deck also has some removal cards that destroy the opponent's Digimon directly without battling them, but that is totally absent in the half decks. The matches are fixed, and what they do is they pit you against the hardest matchup for each deck, which, as somebody who plays trading card games because he likes to be challenged, I appreciate, but also I recognize that the saving grace of this for most people is that the AI is kind of terrible. It can make some good moment-to-moment decisions, but sometimes it will just have the win condition right in front of it and not choose to win the game on that turn. Right, so to start off with, there are a couple phases making up the turn, and the player that goes first basically skips half of them. The player that goes first does not draw a card at the start of their turn, and instead they go straight to what's called the raising phase. And basically in Digimon you have 2 decks. You have your 50 card deck, and then you have your 5-card Digitama deck, where all of your baby Digimon come from. And during the raising phase, you can turn a baby Digimon face up to put it in the raising area, or you can move a baby Digimon that has already evolved at least 1 level into the battle area, or you can just pass through it and do nothing. After that comes the main phase, which is where the bulk of everything happens. The main phase is where you evolve Digimon, place them directly into the battle area, attack with Digimon, play option cards, play tamer cards, and do them all in any order you want. And there are no limitations on the number of times you can evolve per turn, and most importantly, every time you evolve a Digimon, you draw a card. This is one of the aspects of the game that I really like, that it emphasizes hand filtering a lot and trading resources to get resources, and also sometimes holding back on placing Digimon into the battle area so that you can use them for evolution later. Now Digimon can only evolve 1 level at a time and into Digimon of the same color, so red level 2s into red level 3s, blue level 2s into blue level 3s, blue level 3s into blue level 4s, you get the idea. Everything you do in this game has a cost. Every Digimon has both a placement cost, which is the cost of just putting it into the battle area from your hand, and then an evolution cost, which is the cost you pay for evolving that Digimon from one you already have out. And the key here is that evolution costs are always lower than placement costs. When you have the choice between evolving and placing a Digimon, usually evolving is the better choice. Now I know you're all very impressed with me nerding out about resource systems, but you also are wondering, how do I win this game? And the answer is you attack your opponent a lot. There are no life points in Digimon. Instead, you have security. 5 cards placed face down from the top of your deck at the start of the game after you've shuffled. These face down cards are protecting you from your opponent's Digimon's attacks. As soon as you take a direct attack from your opponent's Digimon, you're dead. But before you get to that point, your opponent has to get through all 5 face-down security cards protecting you. Basically, when you declare an attack with a Digimon, you can either attack your opponent or you can attack a rest Digimon. What is rest? Rest is tapped from Magic the Gathering. It means that it's horizontal. It means sideways, like in Cardfight Vanguard. If the card is sideways, you can attack it. Or in this app, it's a little circly arrow thing, like in Magic Arena. When you attack your opponent's security, the topmost card is flipped face up to check security. Now, unless some effect says otherwise, that security card is going to get discarded at the end of all this. But before it's discarded, what is on the card is very important. If it's a Digimon, it battles your opponent's Digimon, and if it wins, their Digimon is destroyed. If it's an option card or a tamer card, it will have a security effect on the bottom that will resolve and give you some kind of bonus for it being revealed. The most common security effect is that the card will activate its ability without you having to pay the cost. This makes attacking your opponent extremely dangerous in the early game. It encourages you to let the opponent build up while you build up and not go aggressive until you have Digimon around level 5 or 6. Granted, we're working with starter decks right now, but even the aggro red deck doesn't really want to swarm the field the way that a red deck in Magic or another game does. There's no like level 3 rush where you're just spitting out level 3 Digimon to hit the opponent as many times as possible. Low-level Digimon are actually very important to this game because they are where you get your free filters from, because they are the only Digimon with an evolution cost of 0. But the only Digimon they can evolve from are actually the level 2 Digitama cards that come from your Digitama deck, which you're only getting one more of about every other turn, provided you are on curve and hitting all of your cards in the right order. Now, I said you were paying costs, but where are you paying them from? That gauge in the center of the play area. That's the memory gauge, which is shared between you and your opponent. Every time you pay a cost, the memory marker moves towards the opponent's side of the board, and when it hits 1 or higher, play passes to them. Digimon 2020 is all about memory management. If you just pass the turn while the marker isn't on their side, it defaults to 3. Your gameplay is all about giving the opponent as little memory as possible so that their turns will be shorter and you will spend more time playing the game. Ideally, you're only giving them 1 memory every turn, but with how costs break down, it's more common for them to have 2. In fact, this game's mana curve, to borrow a term from Magic, is basically built around optimally giving the opponent 2 memory. Going from level 2 all the way up to 5 generally leaves them with 2 memory every turn. Reaching level 6 typically involves giving them 3 memory. I've already mentioned the other card types outside Digimon. There's the Digitama cards that go in their own deck, but there's also option cards which provide instantaneous effects that resolve as soon as they're used and then go to the trash, and there's tamer cards which stay on the field permanently and provide supporting effects. So for example, Yagami Taichi here in my bottom left corner gives all my Digimon 1000 more power on my turn, which makes it easier for me to attack security and not get my face punched in by a beefy security Digimon. You can have up to 4 cards with the same card number in any deck, and as many Digimon and Tamer cards in play as you can draw in a game, and you can even stack the same Tamer card over and over. So with 3 Taichi out, my Digimon would all get 3000 power. The Gaia Red half deck that I'm using here has 2 option cards in it. Shadow Wing, which is the big fiery attack Garadamon uses in Digimon Adventure, and Starlight Explosion, which is Hoenmon's signature move. Shadow Wing's main effect gives 3000 power to a Digimon for the turn, while Starlight Explosion gives all my security Digimon 7000 power until the end of my opponent's next turn, which makes it really useful as a proactive defense when I don't have anything out to protect me. See, the way you normally stop attacks in Digimon is with blockers. Any Digimon with the blocker ability can be rested when the opponent declares an attack to redirect the attack to that Digimon. The starter decks have a playset of 1 blocker each, and it's a beefy one considering it's a level 4 with 6000 power when the standard is 4 to 5000. But the trade-off is that all these level 4 blockers reduce your memory by 2 when they attack. So you really can't attack with them except as a coup de grace to finish the opponent off when they have no security and no blockers of their own. Now, in addition to just conserving memory, evolutions also have another purpose. See, a Digimon can have 2 kinds of effects. Normal effects written on the center of the card, and evolution source effects written on the colored bottom edge of the card. When a Digimon evolves, the old Digimon card is stacked beneath the new one as an evolution source, and that's when its evolution source effect becomes active. They don't apply to the Digimon they're written on, only to the Digimon that evolved from them. All Digitama cards have evolution source effects, like the Koromon on the bottom of my War Greymon, that gives it an extra 1000 power if it has 4 or more evolution sources. Stacking these effects can get pretty nutty. For example, the Cocutus Blue starter deck has a really dangerous combo where Garurumon's evolution source effect increases the number of security it checks by 1, and Metal Garurumon's main effect allows it to untap itself once per turn, so you can check 2 security in a single battle, and battle twice to take out almost all of the opponent's security with a single Digimon. Granted, Metal Garurumon has its own disadvantages, but we'll get to that. This is basically the game in a nutshell, but because my focus here was on explaining and illustrating the rules, I didn't get into much of the actual card effects or the moment-to-moment thought process behind playing the game. And more importantly, this video only showed me playing the first starter deck, which I think is pretty basic. So I'm going to follow this up with some videos showing how to pilot starter decks 2 and 3, which focus on Metal Garurumon and Seraphimon. In the meantime, if you want to study the cards for yourself and see the in-depth rules, I spent the past month creating a comprehensive database on the game at digimoncard.net, the Digimon Card Network. Until next time, this has been Toya. Thanks for joining me today. If you liked what you saw, please consider liking and subscribing to support the channel. You can find me on Twitter at Towoya, on Twitch at DecodeToya, and of course, right here, at Maniacs Channel.